Okay, the last part of this lesson has to do with cropping images. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Google Classroom and grab our A6 down. Go ahead and download that. And it is a Photoshop file, so it'll open nicely here for us. And so what I'm going to do is just double click my hand tool so that my picture is fitting inside the screen. So when we crop an image, essentially it's a tool that Photoshop has where we define the area that we want to keep, and then part of the image is going to be discarded. So if you're looking at this image of the house, notice that we probably don't need to have over on the left-hand side this part of the building, or on the right-hand side any of this building over here. So what we would maybe want to do is crop the image so that it just is of this house. Which is probably what we want. So our crop tool is over on our tools panel on your left hand side. It's the fifth tool down. It is a left angle and a right angle that kind of intersect. And if you hover over it, it'll say crop tool. So go ahead and click on that. And when you bring it out into your picture, you're going to see that your mouse changes to the crop tool. And I'm just going to start up at the top, somewhere to the right of this building here. And I'm just going to click and drag to select the area of the house that I want to keep. So I'm going to pull it all the way down to the bottom. I'm not going to go so far to include this other building over here. And when you let go, you're going to see that your screen changes and you have what's called a marquee here, or a crop marquee. And then parts of the image that you didn't select kind of get grayed out. So you haven't actually cropped anything yet. You are just making a selection of what you want to keep. So notice that you can go down to any of the edges and you can move them. So maybe I don't want all of this street in there, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit, or up I should say. And I can bring the top of my marquee down a little bit. And every time you click and release, your mouse is going to light up the picture so you can see a little bit better. And then when you release your mouse, it'll be grayed out again so you could see what it's going to look like when you crop. So for example, I think that this is a pretty good crop. So I'm going to go up to my menu bar at the very top, and you're going to see that you have three options at the top of your menu bar. The first one is to reset the crop box. So if you didn't like the way it was cropped and you didn't want to use these handles, you could just start from the beginning. So that's just a reset. This is a don't crop box. A button or canceling the crop option. So if you didn't like how it looked, you can always cancel. And then obviously the check mark is that you want to commit to that crop. So I'm going to say I want to commit to the crop, and I hit the green check mark. And so you can see that I've cropped my picture and the remaining parts of it have gone away. Okay. One thing you might notice in Photoshop, if you are familiar with keyboard shortcuts, is that a lot of you will try to do a Control Z. And in Photoshop, you can do a Control Z one time, which is what I just did. And you can also, let me see, under Edit, and because I just did a Control Z, you can't see it right now, but you can do a step backward as well. I can also redo my crop, which is what I'm going to do right here. But you can't do more than one Control Z at a time. So if you do 2 or 3 things at once and then you try to do Control Z, you don't have that option in Photoshop, just because it's such a powerful program and you're dealing with major files that it takes too much space to try to remember all of that. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're working. So here we did our crop. We like the way it looks. We're happy with it. If we wanted to, we could do a file save as and put this into our Web Design 1 folder into our lessons, and we could just call it crop practice. Hit save. Excuse me. And here we would have our crop photo. So that is just using the crop tool as it stands without making any other changes. So let's go ahead and close this because our last file I want us to bring down is A7, which is a girl kind of standing in the window or the doorway of a building. So we're going to bring that down. And one thing that you can do with a crop tool is you can crop an image to a specific size. So that's what we're going to do with this one, A7. We're going to open it up. And again, I just like to double click with my hand tool right away because it's just easy to do that. Get it to fit inside my screen. Okay. So one of the things that you can do with your crop tool, if it isn't already still selected, go ahead and click on your crop tool and notice how your options bar changes up here. So yours might say unconstrained right now, which is the default setting for it. And then you have these two boxes right here. This is your width and your height. So if you wanted to, a really popular photo size is a 4x6 or 4 inches by 6 inches. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's put 4 IN for inches and then 6 IN for inches. And what you're going to notice is that the crop box or the crop marquee will automatically pop up. Right now, because we haven't actually cropped it, it's not at 4x6, which is okay. But once we have this done, go ahead and click your check mark and notice that if you are looking at your rulers, now you're going to have a 4x6. And if you don't have your rulers up, you can go to image and then image size. We worked with that a little bit earlier. And this 0.003, that's just Photoshop being a little finicky, which is okay. But notice that we're at 4x6 inches and our resolution is at 106. So if you remember from earlier, this would be okay to put on the web, but if we tried to print it, print quality, remember, is 300 ppi, so this would be a little low. It would probably look a little blurry. But that is how you crop it to a specific size. So one of the things that you will start to do as we work on our assignments is I'll say, you know, you're going to want to put a picture in and we're going to want it to be like 5 inches by 7 inches. So you'll want to use this crop tool to crop your picture to 5x7. And we could do that here too if you wanted to. We can change this. Let's put it in as 5 IN for inches and 7 IN for inches. And the crop box will come back up. Go ahead and hit your check mark. And again, you'll notice that now we're at 5 inches by 7 inches. So you can control the size of your crop using these two boxes. Another place where you can do this is if you click on this drop-down menu and go all the way down to size and resolution. You can put those in here. If you forget like that the first box is for width and the second one is for height, if you use this box, it'll tell you which is for width and height, and you can also set your resolution. So if you only need it to be at web quality of 72, you can leave that. Or if you need it to be print quality at 300, you can use that here. Okay, so that is the end here of our lessons for Photoshop A. So you can go ahead and close out your A7. We don't need to save this lesson. It's just for practice. And that is the end.